Hello aspirants, welcome to GS Wizard. This is Saran Nandula. In this video, we will discuss about the harmful impacts of climate change. Actually, this is the first part of the 3 video series about harmful impacts of climate change. In the first 2 videos, we will discuss about the general impacts of climate change, and in the last video, we will discuss about the harmful impacts of climate change on Indian agriculture. So let's just begin. Now, as you already know, this is a very important topic. So, what is the first impact of climate change? Precipitation pattern shifts. That means occurrence of droughts and floods. So, the concept is very simple. Climate change disrupts the water cycle and precipitation patterns. So, this is considered to be the most devastating and the biggest impact of climate change. Scientists often compare climate change to a shark and this particular impact to the teeth of the climate shark. Without teeth, can shark bite anything? Can shark harm any animal? No. In the same way, this is considered to be the most painful, biggest, and devastating impact of climate change. Most devastating impact. Okay? So, climate change disrupts water cycle and precipitation patterns. And according to IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, there is increasing probability for more intense droughts and precipitation events. Now, what do you mean by intense drought? How can you say that the drought is intense? It all depends on the duration of the drought. If the drought is very prolonged, very long, then obviously it is very intense. So, due to disruption of water cycle and disruption of precipitation patterns, certain places will experience more intense droughts as well as more intense precipitation events. And this point is again very important. Certain places on earth will experience a pattern where there is a long, lengthy dry spell, long drought, which will be suddenly broken by heavy torrential downpour. Then again, the drought will continue. This pattern is going to emerge at certain places on earth due to disruption of water cycle as well as disruption of rainfall patterns. Now, is this pattern good for us? Long drought, suddenly broken by heavy downpour, and then the drought continues again. No, this pattern is very dangerous because the torrential downpour will cause flash flooding as well as soil erosion. So, what do we need? What we need is regular rainfall patterns. But this particular pattern is very dangerous. But unfortunately, some places on earth will experience this pattern due to disruption of water cycle as well as rainfall patterns. Okay? Now, climate change will also aggravate drought. Already we have drought due to disruption of rainfall. And the drought is further aggravated due to climate change. Rising temperatures lead to increased evaporation rates as well as increased plant transpiration, which results in further water loss from soil as well as plants. Rising temperatures will lead to more and more evaporation from the soil. Whatever soil moisture is present, that will get completely evaporated and the soil will become completely dry. Okay, even small winds will blow away the soil and lead to soil erosion. And not only that, rising temperatures will also cause the plants to release more amount of water vapor in the form of transpiration. So this is how climate change aggravates droughts. Simple, right? The next impact is melting of glaciers. Very dangerous. Now, mountains are called water towers because they melt water coming from the glaciers and snow in the mountains. That is the source of many streams and rivers worldwide. We all know this, right? Now, just look at this point. Mountain meltwater and runoff provides more than 50% of the world's fresh water. Just look at this number. the meltwater coming from the mountains around the world accounts for more than 50% of the world's fresh water. This is a very, very huge number. Now, due to increasing temperatures, the glaciers and snow, they are getting melted at an accelerated rate. Okay. And once these melt away, they cannot be restored. So, as global temperatures elevate, mountain glaciers and snow are melting at an unprecedented rate, very, very fast. And many mountain glaciers are in retreat. That means the glaciers are shrinking in size. And if the glaciers melt away, they cannot be restored. How do glaciers form in the first place? Glaciers form due to continuous accumulation of snow. At the same time, glacier will also melt slowly, releasing meltwater. So this is a continuous process. And the glacier will grow and expand in size if the rate of snow accumulation is more than the rate of melting. But due to rising temperatures, the rate of melting is increasing, due to which glaciers are retreating in size. They are shrinking in size. That is the meaning of a retreat of glaciers. And if a glacier melts away completely, it is lost permanently and we cannot restore it. So, areas that previously depended on glaciers for fresh water will now have to seek other sources of fresh water. Okay? Now, we'll discuss about this particular problem more elaborately. So, let us study about the retreat of glaciers since 1850. Okay? Now, since 1850, continuous monitoring and observation has been happening. The retreat of glaciers since 1850 affects the availability of fresh water for irrigation, domestic use, animals and plants that depend on glacier melt, and in the long term, increases the level of oceans. Because all this meltwater coming from the mountains will ultimately go into the oceans. Okay? Now, many impacts of climate change we can feel but we cannot see. But there is one impact of climate change that can be observed and that can be measured. That is melting of glaciers, retreat of glaciers. So scientists say that this is the strongest proof for climate change and global warming. Even now, there are few people who don't believe in climate change and global warming. So this is the strongest evidence we can give to them. Okay, so look at this point. The temporal coincidence of glacier retreat with the measured increase of atmospheric greenhouse gases is often cited as a key evidence of global warming. So basically, there is a coincidence here. Coincidence between glacier retreat and increased concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Okay, so this coincidence is often cited as one of the strongest and most important evidences for global warming. I hope you understood this. Now, mountain ranges such as Himalayas, Alps, Rocky Mountains, Andes, as well as some isolated mountains such as Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, are showing some of the largest glacial losses. Now, Himalayan glaciers are the sources of important Himalayan rivers. Now, just imagine India without these rivers. It's too difficult to imagine, right? Because some hundreds of millions of people depend directly as well as indirectly on the Himalayan rivers for their livelihood. But unfortunately, the glaciers in Himalayas are getting melted at a very, very fast rate, at a very accelerated rate due to global warming. Okay? So just look at this image. This image was taken in 1977 and this was taken in 2006. So a large part of glacier melted away and it formed a glacial lake. Okay? And just look at this image also. In 1985, the glacier used to extend till the line that is shown in black. But now currently the glacier is here. That means the glacier has retreated. It has shrunk in size because the rate of melting of glacier is more than the rate of snow accumulation. As simple as that. So, guys, this is considered to be the biggest and strongest evidence for global warming and climate change. Retreat of glaciers. And once glaciers are melted away, we cannot restore them. So, this is very, very bad, very, very dangerous. Next, snow drought. So, what do you mean by snow drought? Snow drought is a condition where, on the mountain tops, due to increasing temperatures, there will be rainfall rather than snowfall. That is the meaning of snow drought. So, at this stage, we might think that rainfall rather than snowfall is beneficial because due to climate change, there's going to be water shortage. But it's very, very dangerous. And we'll understand how. Snow drought. Further complicating mountain water storage capability is the great possibility that warmer temperatures make precipitation fall as rain rather than snow on mountain tops, and that is called snow drought. And snow drought leads to reduced water availability. Okay, I'll tell you how. When snow collects on mountain tops, it will melt slowly, releasing meltwater slowly. This meltwater will come down the slopes of mountains and then form streams and rivers. And we are able to store a large amount of this meltwater by constructing dams. Okay? Now just imagine that rather than snowfall, there is rainfall. Now this rainwater will rush down the mountain slopes with a very high velocity. And all the reservoirs that are present will be quickly filled up, and the excess water we cannot store anywhere, so we have to dump this excess water into the ocean. So it is simply wastage of water. And not only that, when meltwater slowly comes down the slopes of mountains, it will also increase the groundwater levels. It will increase the soil moisture as well as groundwater levels. But rainfall, the rainwater will quickly, flow down the mountain slopes, and that will not increase the groundwater levels. It will also cause soil erosion. So that is the reason snow drought leads to reduced water availability in the long run. I hope you understood. So let us just look at these 2 points. When snow and ice collect on mountain tops, the snow melt releases water slowly and continuously to streams, rivers, and reservoirs. But when rain falls on mountain tops, the water runs off and quickly fills reservoirs to maximum capacity, and the excess water cannot be stored, so it should be dumped into the oceans. So, simply wastage of water. Okay, so that is the meaning of snow drought. Next, climate change and polar regions. So, this is very, very important, guys. First, we'll speak about Arctic and then we'll discuss about the Antarctic region. Now, Arctic is one of the places on Earth which is warming up very, very rapidly. Average air temperatures in the Arctic region have increased by around 5 degrees Celsius in the last 100 years. This is a major, major increase, a very big increase. Now, recent studies show there will be almost no summer sea ice cover left in the Arctic in the next few decades. So, what do you mean by that? In the Arctic region, even during summer, large parts of the Arctic Sea will be covered with sea ice. Okay? And this sea ice plays a very, very important role in regulating the global climate. How? We'll discuss later. Just don't worry about that. But now, due to rising temperatures, projections show that there will be almost no summer sea ice cover left in the Arctic region. Okay. Now, just look at this image. Very, very important. This image shows the extent of summer sea ice projected for 2040 and beyond as viewed from North Pole. So, you are just looking at the North Pole and just see the Arctic region. This is how Arctic region would be during summer. As you see, most of the sea ice got melted away and there is only a small region left to the north of Greenland. So this is how Arctic region would be by the year 2040 and beyond. Now the prediction is a small area of ice to remain in the northeast Canada and northern Greenland, this particular part, as you can see in the image. When all the other areas of summer ice are gone, so this is a very, very dangerous and very bad situation. This will not only increase the sea levels, it will also impact the whole ecosystem that is dependent on sea ice. For example, polar bears are dependent on sea ice for hunting. They hunt seals, right? So the entire ecosystem is getting disrupted there. And apart from that, there's going to be a huge rise in sea levels if this happens. And this will definitely happen for sure. Now, the melting of Arctic sea ice will adversely impact the whole ecosystem that is dependent on the sea ice. And global temperatures are also affected by Arctic ice and its ability to reflect the sun's heat. So, both the polar regions, the Arctic region as well as Antarctic region, they influence the global climate. How? They are highly reflective. They have very high albedo. So, what do you mean by albedo reflectivity? So, since because the Arctic region and Antarctic region are covered with ice and ice is white in color, these regions have very high albedo. They reflect 90% of the solar radiation that falls on them. That means they only absorb 10% of the solar radiation. So, these areas are highly reflective. So, just imagine that the ice got melted away and the underlying parts will get exposed. That underlying part can be a rocky surface or it can be water. Now, these areas have less albedo. These surfaces have less albedo. So, they will absorb more amount of heat. So, this is one way in which global warming causes more global warming. I hope you understood. Due to rising temperatures, ice is getting melted in the polar regions and the underlying surfaces are getting exposed. The underlying surface can be a rocky surface or it can be water. They both have very low amount of albedo. That means they absorb a lot of solar radiation and they reflect little solar radiation back into the atmosphere. That means the areas will get warmed up even more. So, this is one way in which global warming causes more global warming. I hope you understood. Now, let us speak about the Antarctic area. The Antarctic ice sheet, this point is very, very important, guys. The Antarctic ice sheet is the single largest mass of ice on the planet Earth. It is 14 million square kilometers large. Just imagine 14 million square kilometers. And it accounts for around 90% of all the fresh water on the Earth's surface. Just see how huge it is. And also at several places, the Antarctic ice sheet is several kilometers thick. But currently, due to global warming, climate change, large chunks of Antarctic ice are breaking away. They are slowly drifting on sea and they are getting melted away. So this will increase sea levels beyond imagination. This is going to have a huge, huge impact on sea level rise. Now, both the Antarctic region as well as the Arctic region play an important role in influencing the world's climate by reflecting back the sun's energy and helping to regulate global temperatures. Already we have discussed this. Now, parts of West Antarctica are warming rapidly. So this point is very important. Such points are favorites of UPSC. They can be asked in the exam. So parts of West Antarctica are warming up very rapidly. And even small scale melting is likely to have significant effects on global sea level rise. Okay, so that is about climate change and the polar regions. So ultimately, this is what is happening. Okay, large chunks of Antarctic ice are breaking away. They are slowly drifting on sea and they are slowly melting away. So this is what we are causing to the ecosystem in the polar regions. So tell me, what right do we have to subject all these animals to so much suffering? Unfortunately, that is what we are doing. Okay. So guys, with this we are done with the first part, the first video. So kindly check out our environment and ecology course. So you will get 24 months unlimited access to the course, and also you'll be in constant touch with the faculty, that is me. So we are going to have a hybrid course, a combination of both recorded as well as live sessions. So we are going to have live doubt clarification sessions and live test series discussion sessions. And you can avail this course just at a price of 3,499. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm hoping that you enjoyed this video. Kindly provide your feedback and like and subscribe our channel. So thank you so much for watching. Keep watching, keep learning, and I wish you all the best.